This one here. Yes.
Where you go?
110 to 152.
We're gonna call the meeting to order on June 21st, 2022. Could I ask you to stand for the flag salute, please? Let's do this. To the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible.
Board members, I'm just gonna ask you to speak into the microphone, so this microphone picks up. Can
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I believe we get to the motion to open the meeting.
Second.
And a motion to approve the minutes both from February the 15th and May 17th. Anybody have any comments? Scott and I turned in written comments. Do you all have any others? We turned in written comments for the 15th of February. And I have no comments for mine. Okay. Do I have a motion to adopt those two sets of minutes?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, 152 Hampton Street.
No, you're gonna have, for
Oh,
34.
sorry, 34 High Street. My apologies.
The applicant has sent in a request to withdraw the application.
Yes, so we need a motion to withdraw. Do I have such a motion? So moved. Do we have a second?
I'd second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Now we're at 152 Hampton Street. It's my understanding from Curie that they've asked for an adjournment.
Yes.
Okay. Do I have a motion for an adjournment for 152 Hampton Street?
So move.
I'd second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And 55 Howard Street has asked for an adjournment, so I need, is that correct, Carrie?
Yes.
I need a motion to request an adjournment to the next meeting, which would be what day?
For the record, it's July 19th.
So move.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And we are now calling 25 Prairie Drive. There's no reason to open this hearing because this is a continuation of a current application. And the applicant's representative, Dennis Downs, is here.
Good evening. Dennis Downs, 34 Bridge Street. Also with me is Tate Overton, he's the architect on the project.
Could you do us a favor? You turned in a new set of plans. Correct? Yes. When in your presentation, if you go through the differences, it would be a tremendous help.
Absolutely.
And on the turn down letter, if there are changes to this turn down letter, it would be very helpful to know what they are.
One's trying to challenge the technology. So I have a printout of basically what I presented.
Go back to the microphone and state.
Oh, excuse me.
the record for-
Of course, yeah. My name is Tate Overton. I'm the architect for the project.
And you have it sworn in before.
I have this.
Thank you.
May I approach just to be able to show it on?
Speak loudly, please.
I will try.
Thank you.
There's no change to the survey that was previously presented. I have another copy of it here to demonstrate as needed. In the previous set of drawings, we had mistakenly called out. In the previous set of drawings, we inaccurately presented areas of existing encroachment with the sky plane in a different color, and that was confusing to the board. So we clarified that. Nothing else has changed. The design changed. The existing house has not changed. So this sheet is the first drawings sheet that was modified. So what was within the existing building that's within the sky plane diagonal, we've just made green to justify the fact that it's a pre-existing condition on both of these elevations, as well as on this set of these two drawings. The proposed addition is not colored in green, so it's just slightly outside of this, but it's not in that color.
And could I ask, is that a fence to the right?
This is a pre-existing fence, yes. So this is a fence that's running north or east to west. This elevation. So the board had requested additional photographs to demonstrate the side yard existing conditions, and then furthermore to for me to try to help demonstrate what we're doing in terms of blocking view or encroachment into the side yards in terms of volume. So what we have here is an existing view of the side yard. This is the building next door. This is 25 Terry. And this is the view of the water through the fence and whatnot that you can sort of see when you peer around. This is simply beyond on the other side of this tree line, the next door neighbor and the view or lack thereof of the water. And then what we wanted to do is show what the difference is. So we zoomed in here, and this drawing or picture shows the bump out on the front of the building facing south, which it faces and beats the side of the house as the existing face of the house. And then there's a little bump out in the back. And that's the one that was hard to read before when we were talking about the plan and the survey, and as to what does it read like when you're from the street.
So does that, what you're showing me, increase the pyramids to 2,000?
No, there's no pyramid encroachment, so it's not requesting a pyramid.
But you indicated there was a.
Yes, well, that was a mistake, because what they were doing was saying this, I'm sorry. That was a mistake, because what they were doing was saying the existing pyramid violation was 2,000 something. There's no new pyramid violation.
Because
It's a non-conforming existing pyramid violation.
That's
but I
correct.
visited the house and I had difficulty determining the pyramid and where where it was increased 2,000.
Yeah, because it's not, we're not proposing any additional, and the existing house does encroach the pyramid, but we're not proposing any new work to do so.
Okay.
The 2,000 is pre-existing.
So it said it was 0 and then increased to 2,000.
But that
No.
is incorrect.
Incorrect. There's
Okay.
2,260 non-conforming pyramid violation that's currently in existence.
If I can just add into the record, Mr. Lynn. With the advent of the new building inspector. There's several past cases. What he was saying is he was putting in the notice the pre-existing condition and treating it as if it needed a variance, it would be approved. And that's not the law.
Yeah,
So now he's done away with
because
it.
initially it said the permitted
Right.
is 0 and then it would increase.
And we've increased it by 2,200 or 2,900 square feet, but that's not the case.
Okay, thank you.
So apologies for that confusion, but we did talk about that during the previous meeting. So just to further continue, so on the west side, this diagram shows what we're proposing as an addition from the bump out, and that's sort of this kind of off-white bump out. And then the board had also requested on the east side, how does that look? So there's a shed and build out next to in addition to the existing shed, and it bumps out like this. So we're trying to show the differences between the existing and previous conditions.
Can I ask you a simple question? Is the fence going to remain?
Belongs to the neighbor.
Well, the fence, this fence is an existing fence on, I think, this fence is
Fence on the left side.
the one on our property, yeah, on John's property.
Fence on the left side of the property, that's owned by the Romans.
Yeah, they put that.
And they
fence up.
put that up, yes.
Yeah.
That's probably a pool fence around their home.
Can I ask a question just to clarify? So the picture on the right Goes,
Upper right.
goes with the picture on the bottom left.
Yes,
Okay, and the tree that we're looking at
Is
is
this
on
tree
the other
behind?
side, so we're not seeing the fence there.
yes. So technically, you cannot see this from the street. We just wanted to be absolutely transparent about what it appears to be when you're on the property as a build out. However, from the street, the tree that you mentioned is this one here. It's behind the fence. And this fence is technically on the property of 25 here.
So,
That fence is a neighbor's fence, or it's on your own.
They put in the fence because they put in a pool when they built this house and he built this.
That fence is on your property, your client's property,
That for somebody.
and someone else put it there?
That's my understanding.
I'm sorry, say that again.
The fence that the neighbor put in for the pool, they actually put the fence on John's property. That's what I understand.
He went over, all right, well, that's
Because
Todd
John,
Brown built this house. And they have a pool in the back, and that's part of their pool fence, and then they've got in the front, ties into the house, and then all the way down. Walkway. And then it turns into a cyclone fence behind it.
Yeah, my only question is the fence on 25 Perry's property the applicant, or is it on the next door neighbor's property?
It's on,
it's actually on, it is
on
on,
both.
it's
on
kind of
both.
on both, yeah. Yes,
It's on both. What Ron did was he brought his fence up the boundary line, and then tied it in with, he tied it in with the fence that was.
the survey you can actually see, Mr. Graves did not build this fence.
Right,
The neighbor, Mr. Rome, built this fence on his property. Actually, Mr. Graves is not pleased with this, but that's a whole other thing. But this is part of that fence that was not built by, John Graves. It was part of the stockade fence on this.
the reason I was asking is that the fence blocks the view of the water,
Mhm.
and part of this exercise was to make sure that we weren't taking away the view. So
Right.
that's why I was asking.
Well, I understand that it's a 6-foot high fence.
There's a bit of a story to that, if I can put it on the record. The lot immediately across the street, it's a corner lot, was owned by Helen Lowe for more than 35 years. Helen passed away 5 or 6 years ago. She maintained the lone lot as a vacant lot so that she would have a view of her house to the water. When she passed away, her daughter and grandson, they sold the lot to Mr. Rome, knowing that he was going to build a house and was going to destroy it. And so they conceded that. I tried to get a hold of Mrs. Lowe's daughter during this past month. I can't remember what her last name is. She's married. And I looked in my old state file, and I still couldn't find her. At the time, she was still Lowe. But now she lives down either in New Jersey or Pennsylvania. Maryland? Oh, okay, somewhere down there. But I wasn't able to get a hold of her. They asked her if she had any objections.
Well, okay, I appreciate that. My query is, if that stockade, I think the stockade fence is probably taller than 4 feet, but I could be dead wrong,
It's a 6-foot.
It
property.
is a 6, yes, it is.
in the front yard.
It's been there since my client's father and grandfather owned the property.
So it could be pre-existing.
Yeah.
Well, it's pretty-
Oh, it was put in.
Very pretty.
If that fence were not there, then the public would have a view, and it would make up for any loss of view that you're proposing. So
Hmm.
it seems to me that if it's on your property and if
We can remove as much of it as
it's on
we
your
can to
property,
get back to the boundary line.
that would be,
It's about it encroaches about 2 or 3 feet into, what it was, is they bought a 6-foot panel and they put the 6-foot in exactly where they needed it.
right, I got it.
And they put it on John Graves' property.
And they don't need that much. They have their pool.
Does. It doesn't need to be there at all. So, so if it would alleviate that and add to the view, which we can all enjoy through this property side yard, we will remove it.
So basically, just so I'm clear on this, you're really proposing 2 variances, not 3. And one is the side yard setback for the proposed deck, which is 8.6 feet, where 15 is required in total.
So
Right, and there's an existing deck.
is an existing deck that we use before. We're removing and building it in place.
Right.
So how much are you increasing that deck? And how much are you, what is the
I think
setback?
it goes from 8.4 to 8.6. Check.
I have a the relief of 6.4 being needed, and I just want to be sure it's not the same notice issue.
Here's the. Here's the 8.6.
Scott is pointing to the 8.6.
8.6 and 8.8 are the two operating numbers.
Correct.
Okay, and what is the decrease of the setback on each side? On the phrase?
From 8,
It was X, it's
it
no
was,
longer.
it is what, 8.8?
Yeah, I believe
And we're going to 8.6.
it's 8.8 and it's going down to 8.6.
Because it listed correctly in the,
The survey is.
Yeah.
in the relief
I
request.
want to be sure that the agenda notice is correct.
The notice is,
Well, no, the notice on the pyramid was incorrect. Is the notice on the agenda incorrect? That's what I'm finding this one.
the addition is going to be 8.6 feet, where I think the house is now, the house is now at 8.8.
That's correct. That's correct. So the new deck is 8.6. We're bringing it back a little bit because it has a handle.
But the old deck was what?
It was a lot, actually, the old deck. We're maintaining that line. Does it say?
Here's the old Zach. I think it goes
I
with this.
got it. Okay, so you're increasing it toward the bay, but not for the water, but not on the side.
That's correct.
No, it's not it.
But in some cases, they're reducing it because we have here. and
Right.
this.
Right.
Right.
Okay.
It's actually less deck.
I have one question. Why do this particular one? Why is principal and full setback indicated?
It's just something the surveyor does.
Yeah.
They put all of the setback boundaries on.
So why they say
It wouldn't be a full setback.
If you put a pool on this property. it's not
You
gonna-
probably noticed it for 2 months.
And the surveyor is just telling you where there's a legal. break. That's all.
Okay.
It has nothing to do with the application. It's something the surveyors do. Some of the surveyors do in general. They just put all of the setback on the property. So that there's no question about whether it's a primary, accessory, or street.
Exactly.
So Dennis, based on the survey, it looks like the deck is in the same place on this side.
Well, it's being turned from deck to structure,
On a portion of it, correct.
a portion,
Oh,
the
I
portion
see.
closest to the street.
Right, so this hatched area was deck, now it's being
Okay.
turned into a.
And so that is correct on the agenda. And then the second one, is that also correct? The second?
Yeah.
Post side yard?
Yes, we've got to be a
Really just put this part here.
That's, I got it. Thank you.
It's a pretty modest addition to a house, but it's a fairly good sized house.
Yeah. It is modest. Does the board have any questions from you before we open it to the public?
Yes. Any of your neighbors have made any negative?
No, I personally sent a letter to Todd Rome, who's a client of mine. I handled his application years ago to build his house, and he never responded. And I did try to get a hold of his daughter. And one of these days I'll remember her maiden name, I don't know, married name. And I'll find it, but like I said, she sold a lot to Todd, knowing that she was gonna lose her water. And they turned that into a rental house. It's not a. They don't live there permanently.
I'm fine with it. I think as long as that fence can be removed. The
Yeah, we'll take out the portion that
the street.
it shouldn't be on our property.
Let's see if there's anybody from the public that wants to speak, and if there is, I think it would be useful if you showed them what you showed us,
Absolutely.
so since they couldn't see it. No, oh,
I don't think there's any public comment.
all right, there's no public
Any
comment.
online public comment or no? No, we're not up hybrid yet. Okay.
All right, so I think we can close the public hearing during the motion.
So move.
And I think I'm fine with this as long as a condition of the approval would be that the fence that is on the applicant's property in the front yard be removed. To preserve a modest report of the water. Are there any other comments regarding?
I have no objection.
Okay. Do I have a motion to ask our village attorney to draft a decision?
So moved.
Okay. And second is him,
Yes.
all in favor with the condition that the fence be removed on their property.
Aye.
Okay, okay.
Thank you.
And you want to go down?
All right,
See.
we're on to new business, 287 Main Street. Applicant,
Just wanted to go ahead and introduce myself in the project.
you have not been sworn in, this is new business, so could
Go
you
for it.
raise your right hand, please? Where fellow three, four, please, I'll help you out.
I do.
And could you put give your name for the record and address?
Robert Gibbs, 287 Main Street.
And you are the owner.
Yes, I'm the homeowner.
Okay. You'd like to make your presentation?
Sure.
Uh,
yeah.
Before you start, I want to make one comment. I tried to see the backyard and was told I could not. Did that?
By whom?
Someone who said that was your partner and they didn't feel comfortable with me going back there.
Oh, I
without
see.
you being there.
Did you show them ID?
I told them I was on the ZBA, they didn't ask for ID.
Oh, really?
Jerry, did he sign a consent to
Yes, he
allow
did.
the board members to go on the property?
Yeah, I believe these gentlemen.
I saw it.
Well, I made the mistake of knocking on the door. It's
So did I.
out of a courtesy and was told I can't go back there, so without you there. I want to visit the property before I talk about this application much, so.
Yeah, please do. I believe I was seconds away and my husband felt it strange that someone introduced themselves by saying that they had the right to be there.
No, I said I was a member of the ZBA, I didn't even say I was a chair, I said I was a member of the ZBA.
Okay.
And then I had a right to go back there, which he absolutely agreed with.
Yeah.
But he said that he would not allow anyone there, he did not feel comfortable with anyone going back there without you there.
Yeah, I believe he said that he didn't feel comfortable, he didn't not allow you. He didn't feel comfortable
He asked me not to do it, I asked him 3 times.
without waiting the 30 seconds for me to get back.
He didn't take 30 seconds, he asked me if I could come back later this afternoon, I really don't want to argue this point.
It's not arguing, I'm just stating the fact.
Thank you.
He
Well, the fact
indicated the
is,
same
you said
thing
30
to me and made the call to you and you came very quickly.
Thank you.
He didn't offer to make it. Thank you, would you like to proceed?
You're welcome. I would. So, yes, Robert Gibbs, homeowner and full-time resident. We had the pleasure of buying this house in 2018. You're talking away, Susan? Oh, you're listening. The property was in a state of disrepair and had been cut up into multiple illegal rental units. So naturally, we are restoring the home as a single family dwelling. And in doing so, the primary purpose of this proposed project is to relocate the primary bedroom and bath into a modest second floor addition. We have completed the discussion with the ARB, the discussion item, and incorporated all of their feedback. Now I'm seeking the board's approval for the following 3 variances. Firstly, our total GFA will be increased, requiring a GFA variance of 169 square feet over what is allowed. Secondly, I will be reducing our lot coverage from the pre-existing non-conforming 35.7% down to 34.6%, still requiring a relief of 9.6%. Thirdly, the rear second floor addition, while not visible from the street, is closest to the property line that we share with the Cove Deli parking lot. As is the nature, I'm sure you're familiar with the tightly packed homes in the village. We intentionally positioned this addition in the most unobtrusive spot in the rear of the house, and based on ARB's guidance, From our discussion item, we also reduced the proposed height by 1 foot. Now seeking a modest pyramid variance of 3,182 feet. So that was the 3 variances that I'm seeking, and considering each of them alongside the ZBA's 5-question test, the answer for each is no. There is also, as you saw in the public notice, unrelated to the 7th floor addition, there is a matter of parking. I currently have pre-existing non-conforming parking for 5 cars. I am not seeking to change our number of bedrooms per the existing CO as a single family residence with 5 bedrooms. Obviously, my preference would be to maintain these pre-existing non-conforming parking spaces, as we are a 2-car family who rarely have weekend guests. In any case, guests would be parking on the street alongside the many other vehicles parked for the code deli. If I am not allowed to maintain these pre-existing non-conforming parking spots, it would only be possible to bring the required parking spots into compliance by creating new parking areas on the front garden and in the center of the rear garden. This would be less than ideal, but would not require a variance. The end.
Mr. John, with you wanting to speak as well?
No, I'm just in the background.
You had some comments, I think, Scott?
I have one.
Yeah.
How long is your driveway?
It's on the plans, but it's originally the length of the property. It goes all the way back. But I would like to reduce it so that it only takes 5 cars.
The total driveway can.
The total driveway.
Five cars?
The total driveway existing goes all the way to the back of the property.
But you had a fence.
Yes, and I've covered some of it because I want to reduce it. In the plans, the driveway goes and that fence is moved. So it would say on the plans.
I just have a question because I'm not quite understanding
Mhm.
the parking thing. Is the survey correct
Yes.
for proposed? Well, it would seem to me that that would accommodate more than 2 cars to driveway that you're proposing on the survey. But I don't quite understand why you're only being allowed to have 2 parking places when you could probably.
I think I think that what's written in the public notice may be a little confusing. What the existing driveway goes past where my fence is and,
Okay, well, let's just not talk about that. Let's just talk about how many parking places you actually have to have, which is.
Well, Yeah,
It's
one per.
2 plus 1.
Well, it's 2 plus-
bedroom over 3.
yeah, which mathematically is 4. But
4.
the intention, I believe, is 1 per bedroom.
No, but
You
that's
also
not.
have a garage that you're converting to a living room, so an outdoor living, it's,
Yeah, but that's not, I don't think that's.
this
part
is
of-
a garage.
Yes, but that's not part of the parking code. There's,
No, but that's a space that's being repositioned and changed into a living. That's 2 dwelling unit plus 1.
yeah, the parking is only determined by that.
Yeah, correct. But the need for parking and for not parking in the front yard, etc. is taken up in part because a garage is being converted to.
Well, you're losing a space.
Correct.
But all I'm saying is that the length of the driveway would accommodate more than just 2 cars.
It's 2 per dwelling unit plus 1 per bedroom.
Right, so you need 4 spaces. So the notice isn't really correct. That's what I was getting at.
Yeah.
4 spaces, not 5 or whatever. So
And why would you propose 5?
It's unclear from the zoning law. In speaking with Chris and his team, the intent is typically that there would be 1 parking spot per bedroom. So I think, and
No, only 4 is required.
yeah,
Yes,
which is what I.
Okay. I'm gonna recommend to the board that we hold this case under advisement so we can get clarity on that issue, and I have an opportunity to walk the property.
I think we should go through more.
Okay,
because there
that's
are
fine.
other-
No, it's fine if you're that's how you feel.
So,
That's not how I feel. It's requirement that we go view the property. Trying to comply.
Understood.
so before we leave the parking issue, would you be willing to make the driveway that's shown on the survey longer to accommodate the 4 cars that you need, then you won't have a variance at all.
Correct.
Okay, so let's just assume that that's the driveway will accommodate 4 cars. The other thing that I noticed, just in terms of the pyramid, is that,
Oh, and may I also mention that the garden is a dangerous construction zone, so please be wearing a hard hat when you visit it.
I used to live at 286 Main Street. I'm very familiar with your property and the one across the street. That has never been in the backyard. I live across from the building. I'm absolutely aware of it.
um,
I don't think you answered. Did you hear what I said?
Yes.
It's a construction site. The garden. There's a
I can
huge
see
hole.
the dirt,
Okay, great.
the building pool.
Yes, great. I wouldn't want anyone to fall in before they pour the concrete.
so just in terms of the pyramid, we can't really verify that that's the correct pyramid amount. You need to have at least spot elevations or some sort of elevations on the survey. And then the first floor elevation, which needs to be on the survey and then tied to the pyramid drawing. So that we know where the grade is in relation to the first floor. So that's not on the drawings. And
Yeah,
I
that would be a
couldn't-
question for my architect.
Right, and I couldn't also see on the drawings any numbers about the pyramid. Like, we would like to know, it's split up because it's one side and then the other side. How much is on one side, how much is on the other side? There's no indication on the drawings of where the violation is, so that should be added. And then, just in terms of the sides, the side of the house. Some of this is in violation, so it's helpful for us to see on the side view, not just the front and the back.
Yeah.
Where the violation is.
Yeah, that's reasonable.
So those are things that we need to have, and we definitely have to have the spot elevations or contours or something in the first floor elevation in order to even approve a variance. We can't do it otherwise. It's always tied into the survey and the drawing.
He's reciting the necessary items for your site. for your
I just
plans
don't want you to come back
revise.
and you're gonna have to come back again and again.
No, of course, no, that's helpful.
Um. The only other question that I had was, just in terms of the second floor. And it's hard to tell because there's no indication of the second floor in the survey. But I guess we're confirming, Liz, that there are no setback problems with the second floor, and it meets the setbacks from the side property lines.
We'll confirm that.
Because that's not noticed if there might be.
Yeah.
We just want to try to get all of the questions out there.
You can show them on the survey that setback from the side
second-
yard to the second
Second
floor.
floor, right?
So we can see, and if we have to notice it.
We have to notice it, right? We just see if there's anything. The only other comment I would make is that the 3,000 is a huge number for us to approve.
It's not minimal.
We generally, so anything you can do to reduce that
For GFA.
would be helpful.
What, I'm sorry, you need to come up and
Yes.
state your name. You need to state your name
Okay.
and be sworn in, please.
What's your
Your
name?
name, please.
Jake, National Vanderbilt.
I'm sorry, can you listen?
Vanderbilt.
Thank you.
And could you raise your right hand, please? Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, so help you? Thank you.
No, my question was just that what number would be an acceptable number?
Well, we can't really give you a number, but that's like twice as much as we generally
I mean,
approve.
yeah, it's not a small variance, and we're charged with asking you to reduce the variance, see if there's any way you can do that. So you need to visit with your architect on all these things that Scott's pointed out, and that too.
Okay.
Thank you.
Um, and then I did have a question for Liz. And it's just about the GFA
Yeah.
variance, and I don't believe that we've ever given a variance.
No,
for
no,
GFA,
it's not-
Ever.
I've never seen
No.
you give a GFA.
So-
variance.
So that's something that we would
probably not really want to start doing. So that's just something to think about, because we've never ever given a variance, and once we start giving variances, then we set a precedent for variances for things. There's certain things we don't generally give variances for, like height and GFA.
And we don't particularly want another applicant to come and say, oh, you did it over here, so you need to do it there. I mean, it's not a precedent we want to create.
One other question, how do your neighbors feel about the buildings on one side, right?
Yeah. So I had the privilege of knowing my previous neighbor Carol before she passed away on the other side, but and also her relatives who then subsequently lived there for a while. But I have not yet met the people who bought it, I think, a couple months ago. I think it's still empty, but they got the letter.
See if I have any other questions.
Yes, I just would like to caution you that anytime we go to visit, we usually knock on the door and they see if the person in it. So I think your partner should be aware that we may be coming and we should not put us to the point where.
Oh, no, he certainly is now. I think I think it's a very nice, we very much appreciate your kind introduction.
No other comments?
No, I mean, I just think that you probably need to go back and re-examine the second floor. I'm just looking at the floor plan, and it's a very luxurious suite upstairs, and it may be that that's just overbuilding for the property. And that you could still do, I'm not saying you can't do it, but you can still do a master bedroom and a bathroom, closet space up there, and take up less space. I think there's a lot of space up there that could be tightened up.
Yeah.
To put you in a smaller variance for a pyramid may reduce any side yard setback problems that would totally do away with the GFA variance.
Yeah, but try to avoid making any comparisons to other projects that have second floor additions that are active, but yeah, we can look at certainly narrowing that hallway. I think we do all those things, but yeah, pretty straightforward.
Do you want him to list the things you need to change to the plan to get it in conformity?
I think that would be useful.
Yes,
Yeah.
I mean,
So yes.
does someone want to take notes? It seems to me only the architect.
This is the object.
Oh, okay.
So the main thing really is contours of spot elevations on the survey. And then the first floor elevation. And then that gets tied into those side views that you have of the pyramid violation, where you have to, so that what we're trying to determine is that the first floor is in the correct relation to the grade elevation. And we need to have the pyramid lines shown not only on the front and rear, but also the sides. So that we can see the length and extent of the violation.
So the pyramid on the sides?
Well, it hits like this.
Yes.
But when you look at the side, you get a horizontal
Yeah, but it's
chop.
pretty far out. It doesn't come into play on the side elevation, the pyramid.
Well, but it has to some degree.
Well, it doesn't hit the house at all, but I can put it on.
Because you're showing this area in violation. So that goes back.
Correct.
So the bottom point here is going to create a horizontal line.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the pyramid lines on.
No, this way.
I'm not- So you want me to color in the sides?
Yes, because we need to know, like, is this button, what's some amount of violation. And then it would be helpful to have those. Like, how much is this and how much is that? Because that also helps your case, because
I wonder if I can, I use the 3D modeling program I've never done this, but I don't know if I can do a 3D view
Some people do.
and then do the pyramids and we can calculate. And
right.
it was very complicated to calculate.
Yes,
That
that's very
3,000
common.
number.
So the other thing also just to keep in mind is that in Sag Harbor, it's not an average, it's whatever the slope of the land is, that's why we ask for the either contours or spot elevations along the property line.
Yeah, the land is not flat, it's
Yeah.
got a slight slope.
So that affects the pyramid also.
Okay,
They
so you
may actually reduce, so as the land slopes, the pyramid slopes.
correct, okay, because I took it as just an
That's
average
great.
horizontal. Okay.
Yeah, not really according to the law. It may actually help your case, because sometimes the property
Actually,
line
slope to the
go
back.
up.
Well, it's stuck to the back, so it
Yeah.
might actually increase it.
Yeah, so
Slope to the
If
back
it-
because the addition is at the back, so it might increase it.
If it increases it after you do your spot elevations, we may have to renotice. So if it's less, we won't.
The pyramid would get higher in the back,
Yeah.
so it would decrease.
it would decrease, so which is good, it's gonna help, may help you.
We don't have to renotice if it's a decrease. As long as we
But
don't.
also you should just, in general, re-examine the, whatever you can do to tighten it up.
Thank you, Scott.
I think that's it. And then on the survey, we would need the, as Liz stated, we need the outline. Usually they'll put the outline of the second floor on the survey so that we can setbacks into the property lines, because it doesn't seem logical, but even something that's built on a second floor has to meet the setbacks to the property line.
Can I go through the variances that you're asking for, starting with the parking? You're not asking for a parking variance anymore?
No, we will ensure that the driveway is full, obviously it's long.
Okay. And therefore you won't need any in your front yard or your rear yard.
No.
Thank you. By the way, this building is a contributing structure in the National Register Historic District. Just FYI, if you didn't know that.
Oh, sorry, I think, yes, I know, my building is, yes.
And they're gonna remove the GFA?
And, you know, we told them we're not inclined to
So they should be
support
removed.
a GFA, and our suggestion would be they're not one,
Correct.
not be one.
But they're gonna look at their plans and provide something different for
Yeah.
the board to consider.
So I think we can-
Okay. Do I have a motion to adjourn this until July the, what's the date?
The 19th.
The 19th of July,
So move.
I second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
We don't have a drinking variance.
Okay, now we're at 5 Vickers, and I have asked for a motion to adjourn. Please show that for the record that Scott is removing himself from any discussion or participation in the motion.
Yep.
Do I have a motion? Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Scott, you can rejoin us. And so we have 2 decisions, actually, one to adjourn and one to consider, is that correct?
Correct, the first decision needs to be noticed.
They're
They're requesting,
152 division, would you like to read it?
it needs, the first one actually needs to be adjourned.
Awesome.
It's gonna have to be renoticed for gross floor area.
Okay, do we have, there's, okay,
A motion to table one.
a motion to adjourn the decision for 152 division,
So move.
I second.
all in favor?
Aye.
And now on the 110 division.
So
Liz,
this,
would you like to read that into the record?
yes, thank you. 110 Division Street is for a property located at 110 Division Street. The application was to improve the property with a pool. It's a 7,570 square foot lot in the Village Business Zoning District. It's improved for the single family residence. The applicant's proposing to construct a new pool, which is not permitted as an accessory structure in the Village Business Zoning District. Therefore, variance is required. The applicant is also constructing a 152 square foot addition to the pre-existing non-conforming residence, which is well below the 50% limitation, but still requires us to apply Village Code Section 312.6B for the enlargement of a pre-existing non-conforming structure or use. The enlargement is below 50% of the gross floor area. The parking required is in compliance. There's no change to the character of the non-conforming building or use, and the lot coverage is in compliance. Therefore, the board finds that there'll be no detriment to the neighborhood, given that the use of the property is already residential in nature and the addition is modest in size. For the reasons set forth in the written determination, the board hereby grants the variances.
Do we have a motion to approve?
So move.
Exactly.
All in favor?
Aye.
And do we have? I think that concludes our meeting. Do I have a motion to adjourn? Or is it Hannah Scott?
Or John, yeah.
Okay. All right. All in favor?
Aye.
That's fine. You seconded or you made the
No,
motion?
and second, I think Joe makes a motion.
Okay, there's one second. Okay, thank you.
On a general topic,